We had a little problem with the camera on the way up here, and I'm getting a little bit of recorded now. I'll probably get them on the way back, some of the shots coming up to this particular point. Where we are right now is an abandoned mine on the way to Pieces. Actually, Pieces is behind this mine. Actually, no, it's back over here. I better get it straight where the hell I am. Back to the south behind us. This is roughly 13,800 feet, and so we're going to spend the night here, and then tomorrow we take off, go over these foothills that you see in the back, get on the Argentine side, and then go due south to the peak. Pieces, well, you can see it tomorrow. We'll take some more pictures from the pass. It's composed of about 5 summits. The highest is 640, something like that. I'm going to try 2 summits. I think they're around 22,000. They don't appear. Their altitude doesn't appear on the map. There's another one about 21.6, 21.7 that I climbed a couple of years ago, and then there's another one. But it's an incredible place because there's all these peaks, you know, thrusting up from this huge massif. So it's a real interesting peak. So I guess we're here and spend the night here, and we'll start it off again tomorrow. 9 o'clock, and we're at the pass of Valle Ancho Norte, and this is 15,584 feet. This particular iron pyramid is what marks all the passes through the Andes here, and so this is the one for this particular pass. If we look out to the south, there's Pieces, and let me just give you an orientation to it. You can see about 4 distinct peaks. The one on the right is a lesser peak. I beg your pardon, that's the summit. The one on the right is the summit. It looks like it's smaller because the peak to the left is actually closer to us. So the peak on the right is Pieces itself, and it's 22,640. Move to your left, there's a subsidiary peak, and then move to your left again, and there's 2 peaks there that are about 22,000 feet. Now that's what I'm going to try on this trip, is 1 and maybe 2 of those. Look at those 2 peaks and look to the left of the leftmost peak, and keep going down, and you'll see a couloir there with some snow in it. That's what I'm going to try. I'm going to try to go up that way, and then hopefully there's going to be a way to get to that leftmost peak behind the horizon that we see. I don't know. I've never been there before, so there's no route description or anything. So just have to see if that really works out. From here to there is around what did you say, Patricia? 45 kilometers.
Yeah.
45 kilometers.
Straight.
Huh?
A straight line.
In a straight line.
Yeah.
So it'll work out a little more than that. Here we are on the road to Tres Cruces. It's the same road that goes to Pieces. We're about maybe about 15 miles outside of Copiapó. I want to say something about this truck. This truck has been in this location, this rusted out old thing on this pole, ever since I first went out to the peaks here from Copiapó, and that's, let me see, since about 1990 or 91. Now, you know, over the years, either Giancarlo or Patricio, I never asked them, well, where did this thing come from? So I recently sent a note to Patricio, and he said it was put up by mining companies way back in the mid-'80s, just to warn drivers out on the road that, hey, it can be pretty dangerous out there, so watch it. Be careful when you're driving. So that's where it comes from. We came back yesterday, went all the way back to Copiapó because we couldn't get any gas. And so now we're coming out today to check Tres Cruces to see if there's a possibility that I can climb that. So we're going to zip on out the road. It'll be another couple of hours, and then we will take some pictures of Tres Cruces itself. We're approaching the police station at Maricunga, and here is the first view of Tres Cruces. The southern peak is on the right, and it's let me see, 22,172. The central peak, of course, is in the center, and it's 21,750. The route I've always taken in the past is there's a, you can see between the two peaks, there's a couloir that reaches a col between the two. And then from there I climb either the southern peak or the central peak. Now you can see what's different this time. Patricio and I haven't seen this amount of snow lower down on the peak, below that couloir. That is something we haven't seen before, and it's so they had a lot of snow this past summer. Here we are at the frontier. Well, it's a control station, police control station for the frontier. The frontier actually is quite a ways behind us, but this is Chilean customs here, and so Chilean traffic and Argentine traffic pass through here. This is an elevation of around 13,000, and the police force here, they have several people here, and one of the things they do is check the vehicles that are coming through. Now, last year at this time, when I had to get off Tres Cruces because of the bad conditions, myself and two other guys, we came down here and we stayed overnight at one of the little cabins over here. The police let us stay overnight waiting for Patricio to come back after us. Well, I wanted to say something about what I call the Maricunga Customs Station. This is the customs station that you just saw, and I've been here, gone through here several times, even stayed here with a couple of clients one time when we got snowed off Tres Cruces. You know, the guys here are just terrific. There's a Chilean colonel that runs it, and then they have, 4 customs agents that go through the place, and then they got a couple of army guys with, the appropriate arms. But, I oftentimes refer to it in the book, and when I'm just discussing things, as the Maricunga Customs Station. Actually, that's not its name. Its actual name is the San Francisco Customs Station. And it's named for a San Francisco Pass, which is way out, 40 miles, 50 miles to the east. Why they call it San Francisco when it's all the way down here, I have no way of knowing. We're still on the International Highway. It's going out east here. But this is a great shot of Tres Cruces. You can see the southern peak on the right, and then the central peak right in the center, and the northern peak is back behind. It's up through this couloir here, and it's positioned back behind. The route that I've normally taken here is, you see this couloir between the two peaks. There's a large ridge that sort of bifurcates that couloir. The normal route I've taken is to the right of that, and as you can see, it's pretty well choked with snow right now. At the top of that couloir in the col between the two peaks, it's really pretty. There's 5 little ponds there that are just absolutely beautiful, and it's just a beautiful sight. There's too much snow here, as I said before, too much snow to climb, well, particularly lower down. Again, because even though the snow isn't deep, it covers rocks and crevices and little ravines and so on that you can just punch right through. And even though the snow isn't deep, there's a high risk of twisting an ankle or something like that. And then higher up, it is also choked with snow, and so it'd be almost impossible to climb. This is not hard packed snow, it's soft snow, and so it would just be a real ordeal to try to climb it. This is the northern side of Tres Cruces. Now the central summit is, you have to sort of sort it out among these peaks here. There's some intervening summits right here. The one in the middle is the northern summit, And then just to the right is the central summit. Okay, it's back behind. And there's a hollowed out portion between the two that we can't see from here. Now the route, I've looked at several things as far as the route going up. This lower down portion, the notch right here that you see, a very pronounced notch, would be the way I would go up if I were going to do this. And you can see that right in the center of that, and that was my concern, one of my concerns, there's not much snow. So I could get through that. Now the problem is getting through that, that you don't see here, but I saw farther back down the road, is that I then have to go southeast up a slope that is completely plastered in snow. Then that reaches a ridge that is fairly snow-free, that is on the way to the central summit, but there's one portion in there with an extensive snowfield, at least from what I can see, and then there's a portion that I can't see that I'm sure has snow in it. So there's around 4 things I've looked at going up to the peak. The first part is okay, the second is not, the third is not, the fourth going to the summit looks okay. So based upon all this, I'm not going to do the peak this time. Now if Patricio's panning around here, lo and behold, we have right here before us, right in the center of your picture, is Ojos del Salado. Very famous peak. It's the second highest in the Andes, and the main summit is on the left. And I don't know, you probably can't see the detail, but that's a huge crater, a volcanic crater, that's blasted out. The side nearest us has been blasted out. Ojos del Salado is 22,680, and the normal route is the face that you see that is just oblique to us. Now the route I took was not the normal route years ago. The route I took was the ridge line that's on the skyline on the left. It's the northeastern route. Very rarely climbed, but it was more appealing to me than the normal route. If you look at the peak, it's a brown peak situated between Ojos, and to the right of Ojos, the next peak over, that's Casadero. That's in Argentina, and that is the 7th highest peak in the Andes. And I haven't climbed that. I've been talking with Patricio about maybe climbing that in November or maybe next March. Yeah, it's a very big peak and a very interesting one. So, but you can see that Ojos del Salado has more snow than I have ever seen before, and Patricio mentioned to me that probably couldn't even get to the second hut. A real interesting mountain. It has 2 huts, they're rather large huts. One at 16,600, the other at 18,800. The second one is the highest hut in the Andes. And what happened was, years ago, a South African gold mining company was out here prospecting for gold. They were in a helicopter. There were 2 Chileans and 2 South Africans, and the helicopter crashed and the 2 Chileans died. The South Africans decided to make a memorial to them, and so they donated money to construct these 2 huts, and they named each hut after each one of the Chilean miners that were with them. And there's a road, believe it or not, there's a road that goes from this particular road we're on now. Of course it's farther on, another 10 miles or so, a road that connects with this one that goes right to Ojos del Salado. It goes to the first hut at 16,600 and then all the way up to 18,800, which is unheard of. I mean, you can drive, halfway to the summit just in a truck. Not too appealing for a lot of people, but this is a very popular peak nonetheless. There's always somebody on the mountain. I've decided not to climb Tres Cruces because there's just too much snow. So now Patricio and I have some time on our hands, and so decided to come up to This particular point, this is 15,200, and this is where every time I've climbed this mountain or been on this mountain, I haven't climbed it every time I've been here, of course. This particular part is where I put my base camp, and I've been here 8 times, so I remember this area. Now, the last time I was here was a year ago. I had 2 clients with me, and we had to abandon the mountain because one of them got altitude sickness. Well, because Patricio, it wasn't time for him to come to pick us up, we walked out to the highway, which is about 6 miles from here. And we had to leave the tent and all the gear here. Well, Patricio came the next day, picked us up at the police station, and then drove us back out here. We were barely able to get here because of all the snow. So we got here, my tent was still up, we collapsed camp, got all our gear, except for one thing. We didn't get the garbage, and I didn't get my ice axe. My ice axe was under about 3 feet of snow. So anyway, we've come back up here, and lo and behold, we found the site. And here is my ice axe, still sitting here from a year ago. Of course, a little rusty, but this is a $100 ice axe, so I wanted to retrieve it if I could. But it's been sitting here all this time, so it's great to get it back. We couldn't find our garbage that we had placed here because of all the snow. And so now we know where it is, and we're going to bag it up and get it out of here. So that makes me feel good too, that we don't leave a lot of trash on the mountain. We're just about 20 minutes away from Tres Cruces. Actually, Tres Cruces, you can't even see it now. And we're going back to the police station. Thought we'd take a look at a very pretty peak. This is Peak Copiapó, and it's just right at 20,000 feet. It's really a picturesque mountain on its eastern side, more so than this side. This is the northern side. Now, right below it, and you can see some of it, is some of the mine of Mina Marte. It's a gold mine that was in operation until about, what, Pat, 3 or 4 years ago, when it shut down because the price of gold went so low they couldn't remain profitable. You can see some of the diggings and so on, rather low down on the peak. Well, here we are. We're on the way back to Copiapó, and we've stopped. This is a gold mine. One of the gold mines. There's several out here on the road back. This is a rather small one, but nevertheless it gives you the idea of what one of these things looks like. And as I understand the process, it's fairly simple. They simply scoop the earth out of the wherever the gold is. I don't know where it is around here. You can see up on top of, yeah, there's some roads going up there. And then they dump it into like a holding pond area. You can see it over there. And then they leach the soil. I believe it's with cyanide. The gold drops to the bottom, or else the gravel drops to the bottom and the gold rises to the top. But anyway, it's a pretty efficient process, and so that's what they do here.